The Incredible Hulk. Number 1. May 1962. The Hulk, half man, half monster, thundering out of the night to join the ranks of the most amazing characters of all time. Alone in the desert, the towering G-bomb stands ready for its first test, guarded by a nervous scientific team sheltered behind bunkers. Among them is Dr. Bruce Banner, the brilliant but deeply uneasy creator of the Gamma Bomb. His assistant, Igor, warns that the device is too dangerous. General Ross storms in, demanding to know why the test is delayed. Banner insists that every precaution must be checked, warning that they are dealing with immense unknown forces. Ross mocks Banner as a milksop, while his daughter Betty Ross defends Bruce, insisting he is one of the country's top scientists. Ross dismisses her concern as man-talk, grumbling as Betty continues to support Banner. As the final countdown for the G-bomb begins, Dr. Banner steps away from General Ross and Betty, focusing on his controls. Igor, his assistant, demands Bruce reveal the secret of harnessing gamma rays, but Banner refuses, saying the formulas are locked away safely. Igor grows hostile, grabbing Banner, but Bruce calmly resists, warning him he despises violence. Suddenly, through his binoculars, Bruce spots a teenager driving into the danger zone. He orders Igor to delay the countdown while he rushes to save the boy. Pretending to agree, Igor instead schemes to let the bomb detonate, knowing it will mean the end of Bruce Banner once and for all. Bruce Banner races across the test site, shouting at the teenager to flee before the bomb detonates. The boy, Rick Jones, casually jokes, unaware of the danger, until Bruce grabs him and pulls him toward a protective trench. As they sprint, the countdown at the bunker reaches 0, and the bomb is fired, its deadly gamma rays flooding the area. Banner manages to push Rick to safety, but he himself is caught in the blast. Hours later, Bruce regains consciousness, still alive but visibly shaken. A grateful Rick Jones explains he took Bruce to the base hospital, moved by the fact that someone finally risked their life for him, an orphan nobody else had cared about. As darkness falls, Rick Jones paces anxiously while Bruce Banner sits slumped, dreading what might happen after the gamma exposure. Suddenly, Bruce clutches his head, overwhelmed by a strange, throbbing sensation. Nearby, Rick fiddles with what he thinks is a broken radio. But Bruce realizes it's a Geiger counter, and it's clicking furiously. As the clicking grows faster, Bruce cries out in agony, his body convulsing under the strain. Before Rick's stunned eyes, Bruce transforms into a towering, gray-skinned brute. Rick exclaims at the sight, but the creature snarls, shoving Rick aside and growling, "Get out of my way, insect!" Confused and furious, the towering monster demands to know why he's locked up, his voice booming through the room. With a surge of strength, he smashes through the wall like it's paper, sending concrete flying. Soldiers nearby spot the giant figure and prepare to stop him, but the creature barrels toward them, hurling their jeep aside with ease. As the stunned men scramble from the wreckage, the mighty creature turns and lumbers away into the night, muttering that he must hide. Behind him, Rick Jones calls out, vowing to stay with the creature who once saved his life, chasing after the fleeing figure into the darkness. The beast crouches low among the rocky terrain, his massive frame hidden in the shadows. Troops rush by in the background, searching for the escaped creature, unaware that their quarry is only a few feet away. Thinking to himself, the monster knows he must not let them find him. Troops fan out under orders to find the escaped creature, now officially given the name, the Hulk. Soldiers prepare to intercept him, while back at the base hospital, confusion reigns as no one can explain how a 2-foot-thick concrete wall was smashed. Meanwhile, driven by a vague instinct, the Hulk plows through trees and wreckage, desperate to reach a specific place. Guided by half-remembered thoughts of Bruce Banner, he smashes his way toward a cottage, brushing aside all obstacles. With stealth that defies his massive size, he avoids the soldiers and closes in. Finally, a flicker of memory directs him to his goal, the third cabin. Inside the cabin, Igor frantically searches for the gamma ray formula, too focused to notice the heavy footsteps approaching. Suddenly, the Hulk bursts in, startling Igor, who draws a gun and fires. The bullet strikes Hulk's shoulder but has no effect. Terrified, Igor watches as the Hulk marches forward, grabs the pistol, and effortlessly crushes it in his fist. Seeing Igor's fear, the Hulk sneers at the weakness of humans. As Igor recoils in horror, the Hulk viciously grabs Igor, scoffing at the idea of wanting to remain human. Rick pleads for mercy as the Hulk lifts Igor high overhead. With a cold glare, the Hulk slams Igor down hard among the wreckage of lab equipment. Rick spots a secret report on the gamma bomb taped to a glass beaker, the real prize Igor was after. As they retrieve it, Hulk catches sight of a framed photo and stares at it, confused. The words Bruce Banner echo in his mind, but he doesn't understand why. Seeing Bruce's face in the photo stirs something deep and angry within him. Hulk rages, calling the face weak and soft, and demands it be taken away. Rick, desperate, tries to explain. The man in the picture is Bruce Banner, and the Hulk was once him. The Hulk wrestles with fragments of memory, realizing the gamma bomb changed him when night fell. Rick vows to stay with him, but Hulk angrily shoves him aside, declaring he needs no one. As dawn breaks, Hulk clutches his head, overcome by a strange sensation. In a flash of pain, he begins transforming back, his monstrous form shrinking away. Banner, freed from the Hulk's body, marvels that he can think clearly again. Rick rejoices, calling him Bruce Banner once more. But their relief is short-lived, as pounding at the door signals the arrival of the police, warning the nightmare may not truly be over. Soldiers burst into the cabin, demanding to know the Hulk's whereabouts. Banner, clutching his injured shoulder, stands with Rick Jones as Betty Ross watches in confusion. Bruce is confused at the name Hulk, and Rick quietly hints that the soldiers are actually looking for him. A search turns up nothing in the next room, baffling the troops who had tracked the Hulk's trail to this very spot. Then, amid the wreckage, they discover Igor, the traitorous spy Banner had exposed. The soldiers, mistaking Igor's connection to the Hulk, decide to take him into custody, while Banner, Rick, and Betty remain quietly overlooked for now. A soldier questions Bruce Banner about his injuries and sudden disappearance from the hospital, while Rick Jones defends him, hinting he couldn't possibly be the Hulk. Two other soldiers claim they saw the Hulk clearly, but dismiss him as a giant escaped animal, perhaps a gorilla. Or maybe a big circus bear. Rick jokes that the creature was no more than a clumsy Cub Scout. The captain then takes the gamma bomb formula from Bruce for safekeeping. After the troops move on, Betty returns to apologize for her father's harshness, surprised to find Bruce exhausted and overwhelmed. Rick insists Bruce just needs peace and quiet, not medical care. Bruce apologizes to Betty Ross, blaming his strange behavior on strain, and Rick Jones escorts her out. Betty hesitates, feeling Bruce is in danger and wanting to help, but leaves anyway. Once alone, Rick and Bruce finally talk. Rick hopes it's all over, but Bruce grimly explains it's only the beginning. He recalls how he changed into the Hulk at nightfall and warns that night will come again. Bruce fears he's doomed to transform each sunset into a mindless brute, a creature that knows no reason and worships only raw power. As the sun begins to set once more, Bruce sits helplessly, dreading the inevitable return of the Hulk. The story shifts to the captured spy Igor, brooding in his prison cell. Though confined, Igor vows he is not defeated yet. He reveals a hidden weapon, a tiny sub-miniature shortwave transmitter cleverly disguised as part of his thumbnail, confident that the Americans are unaware. Igor prepares to send a coded message back to his superiors behind the Iron Curtain. Far away, across the globe, Soviet operatives detect Igor's transmission. With urgency, they rush to receive the secret code. The message from Igor reaches Soviet command, sparking fear and urgency. No one dares face the terrifying figure known as the Gargoyle, the most feared man in all of Russia. Reluctantly, a frightened officer delivers the message to the Gargoyle's door. Hidden from view, the monstrous Gargoyle barks for the message to be passed under the door, reveling in the fear he inspires. Upon reading it, he is stunned to learn of a powerful being called the Hulk that exists in America. Seeing a chance to prove his might, the Gargoyle vows to either slay the Hulk or capture him as a symbol of his power. Quickly, he orders a rocket-firing sub to prepare for immediate departure. A modern Soviet submarine cuts through the ocean depths and launches a man-carrying rocket toward America. Radar stations quickly detect the incoming missile, prompting the U.S. military to unleash its Hunter missiles in response. Although the missile is destroyed mid-air, the Gargoyle survives, landing safely on U.S. soil. Now he prepares to meet the Hulk. Meanwhile, Bruce Banner, fearing another transformation at sunset, insists on staying outdoors with Rick Jones, wanting to face his fate in the open. Rick reflects on the tragedy that Banner, a brilliant missile expert, is cursed to become a mindless, marauding brute whenever night falls. Rick notices Banner's hands transforming and urges Bruce to keep control of the wheel. Banner helplessly acknowledges that he is becoming the Hulk again, unable to prevent the nightly change. Losing focus, Banner lets go of the steering wheel, causing the Jeep to crash. From the wreckage, the brutish, scowling head of Hulk emerges. Disoriented, Hulk staggers around, while Rick regains consciousness nearby. Hulk recognizes the landscape and mutters about visiting General Ross's house, desperate to find Betty. Rick pleads for Hulk to stop, but it's too late. The Gargoyle watches from the shadows, realizing he has found his target, the Hulk. At her home, Betty Ross is troubled, unable to get Bruce Banner off her mind. Her father, General Ross, notices her unease, but she brushes it off, longing for simpler days. Hoping a walk might clear her head, Betty steps into the night. As she reassures herself there's no Hulk, she suddenly encounters him. Terrified, she faints in his arms. Hulk sneers at her weakness, while Rick Jones pleads for him to leave before soldiers find them. Hulk shouts him down, refusing to listen. But before he can act further, a new figure steps from the shadows, the sinister Gargoyle, confronting the Hulk directly. The Gargoyle faces the Hulk and Rick Jones, brandishing a strange weapon. Rick warns Hulk about the gun, but Hulk scoffs, confident no ordinary pistol can harm him. The Gargoyle declares this is no ordinary firearm, it's a device of his own invention. Taking careful aim, the Gargoyle fires a special pellet that saps the target's will, turning him into a mindless servant. As the pellet speeds toward him, Hulk growls in defiance, declaring that he is no man's slave. The Gargoyle gloats as he stands over the fallen Hulk, and firing another pellet at Rick to ensure his obedience as well. Commanding them to rise, he unknowingly leaves Betty Ross unconscious nearby. Presently, Betty awakens and tearfully recounts her terrifying encounter with the Hulk to her father, General Ross. Conflicted, she wonders if the creature was seeking something more than violence. Driven by vengeance, Ross vows to track down the monster, even if it takes an eternity. Elsewhere, the Gargoyle, his captives, and a hypnotized driver race toward the coast in a speeding truck. The Gargoyle dreams of using the Hulk's power to create an unstoppable army. Before dawn, the Gargoyle and his captives reach their rendezvous, rowing frantically to a waiting rocket plane. Moments later, they blast into the sky, reaching the edge of space and leveling off to cross behind the Iron Curtain. As the dawn's first rays strike the Hulk inside the cabin, an incredible transformation occurs. The brutish figure softens, and Bruce Banner reemerges fully human once again. Hours later, as the ship lands on communist soil, the Gargoyle is stunned to find that his prized prisoner has changed. Rick plays along, but the Gargoyle suddenly recognizes Banner, realizing the Hulk's human identity is even more astonishing than he imagined. Under heavy guard, the Gargoyle brings Bruce Banner and Rick Jones to his hidden fortress. Revealing he knows their secret, the Gargoyle breaks down, admitting he would give anything to be normal. Banner, seeing his desperation, offers to help. He explains that he can cure the Gargoyle's grotesque form using radiation, although it will cost him his genius. The Gargoyle agrees, willing to risk everything to live as a man again. A machine is activated at Banner's command, and as the Gargoyle is bathed in radioactive rays, the transformation begins. Moments later, he rises, and where once stood a misshapen figure, a normal man emerges. Filled with gratitude for the American scientist who freed him, the Gargoyle curses a portrait of his premier, the man whose secret bomb tests turned him into the Gargoyle in the first place. Soon after, chaos erupts as the Red forces discover their prisoners have escaped and the Gargoyle is missing. An escape rocket launches, and rushing into the Gargoyle's office, they find him in a final act of defiance. The reformed Gargoyle declares himself a man again, sacrificing his brilliance for freedom and proclaiming he can now die as a man. As they blast away, Bruce Banner and Rick Jones marvel that their salvation comes from a former enemy. Below, the rocket's explosion signals the Gargoyle's end and perhaps the downfall of tyranny itself. Bruce and Rick are safe for now, but as nightfall approaches, the terrifying return of the Hulk looms once again.